Hi, I'm Jason, 35. And last Christmas, my family voted me out like I was the office fridge item nobody wanted to claim. It started with a group text. No greeting. Just, "We talked last night. We voted. We think it's better if you don't come to Christmas this year. Too much drama. We just want a peaceful holiday." That was it. My mom. My sister. My brother. Like a little democracy of dysfunction. I was brushing my teeth when it came through. Still had foam in my mouth. I remember staring at the message, rereading it 3 times like maybe it'd rearrange itself into something less brutal. It didn't. And just like that, they made it official. I was too negative. That was the phrase they used. Same one I'd heard for years. Dressed up differently every time. You take things too personally. You're always making everything so serious. You ruin the mood. Once, at Thanksgiving, my sister told me I sucked the joy out of a room. She said it with a laugh, like it was a compliment. I told my husband Drew. He didn't flinch. He's been warning me for years. They want what you give them, not who you are. He was right. But still, I tried. Every year. I showed up with gifts, thoughtful ones. I offered babysitting, planned the menus, cleaned dishes while they drank wine and congratulated themselves on being such a close family. I didn't want our daughter Ellie to grow up thinking this was normal. Last year, they forgot to pick her up from school. This year, they forgot I existed. So, I did the unthinkable. I took everything back. Every gift. Every card. Even the $300 spa voucher I'd sent my mom, the same spa she was planning to visit that very morning. The calls came fast. First my mom, then my sister, then my brother. But I had a line ready. One I'd earned. The family voted. Remember? Click. Silence. Then rage. Suddenly, I was the problem again. I was the one making things ugly. But here's the thing no one ever said out loud. You can only be the family doormat for so long before the fibers snap. Mine snapped the moment I saw that Instagram story. My sister. Caption. Just the real ones this year. 10 place settings. Not 11. No room for me. No room for Ellie. And still, they used my tablecloth. My handmade centerpiece. My garlic herb roll recipe. Burnt just like always. They didn't want me. They wanted my effort. And I realized something sitting in that quiet kitchen next to Drew, while Ellie played with her sparkly boots. I wasn't sad. I was free. The moment I hung up on my mom after the spa incident, I expected fireworks. Screaming, guilt trips, emotional blackmail. The usual. Instead, I got silence. Not peace, strategic silence. They were regrouping. That's always been their play. Cut me down, then wait for me to crawl back. I used to do it too. Bring apology cookies. Offer emotional discounts. Try to earn their love like it was a coupon I had to clip before it expired. Not this time. This time, I took stock of everything I'd let slide. The babysitting thing? That still haunted me. Ellie, 5 years old. Left alone for almost 2 full days. We came back from a work event. The house was dark. She was eating crackers off a plate on the floor. She told me Grandma left yesterday morning. When I confronted my mom, she said, "You should have left better snacks." I defended her. Can you believe that? I defended the woman who walked out on my kid to go gamble with my sister. Said she probably forgot. Said she was just overwhelmed. Drew didn't forget. He hasn't looked my mother in the eye since. Still, I forgave them. Because that's what I thought love meant. Bend. Soften. Absorb. Make peace even when there's a war happening on your back. But now I saw it clearly. Love isn't setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. It's not letting someone disrespect your husband in your own living room. It's not pretending passive aggression is a personality trait. The next morning, I went full surgical. I canceled everything I'd sent. The spa card? Deactivated. The handmade Etsy items? Rerouted. The gifts for the nieces and nephews? Returned or redirected. I wrote a note on each return slip. Gift recalled due to family democracy. Majority rules. At 10:41 a.m., my phone rang again. Mom. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. Sounded like she'd been crying. But I was done mistaking guilt for love. That afternoon, I found Ellie in her room, humming to herself, drawing a Christmas scene. Just the three of us. Me, Drew, her. A small tree. A sushi table. Her sparkly boots. She handed me the picture and said, "This one's not fake." I sat down on the floor next to her and cried. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time, I realized we were already enough. December 24th. Instagram nearly ruined my peace. There they were. My family. All smiles, clinking glasses, the table laid out like a spread from Martha Stewart's Cult Edition. The caption? Just the real ones this year. 2 hearts. 10 plates. 0 room for me. 0 for Ellie. And still, they used my tablecloth. The centerpiece I made by hand 3 years ago. My garlic herb roll recipe. The one my mom always burns just slightly at the edges. They wanted my presents gone, but my efforts still front and center. That's when it broke. Not my heart. The spell. Drew walked in, saw the look on my face. He didn't ask what happened. He just said, "So now, do you see it?" I nodded. Later that night, my sister made her move. Not a call. Not a real conversation. A complaint to the Etsy seller. She said the bracelet I canceled was damaged and unwearable. She even attached a blurry photo of some busted rhinestone piece that looked like it came out of a vending machine. The seller messaged me. Confused. "Hey, should I issue the refund? She's saying it was a gift." I replied. "She's not a customer. She's family. Block her." The seller wrote back. Yikes. Say no more. Something in me clicked after that. A reel of memories started spinning in my head like an old film strip. The time I paid for my brother's kids' braces, no thank you. The surprise party I threw for my mom, fully catered, out of my own savings, and she complained I didn't invite her cousin Carol, who she hates. The time my dad suggested Drew should chip in more for vacations, even though we were already covering the Airbnb. I thought being generous would earn me a seat at the table. Instead, it made me the furniture. Expected. Convenient. Replaceable. That night, we gave Ellie her gifts early. No chaos. No judgment. No whispered comments from my mom about how over the top everything was. Just joy. Actual joy. Later, Drew said something that stopped my breath. "You'd never let anyone treat Ellie the way they treat you. So why do you let them treat her mom that way?" I stared at him for a long time. Because I didn't have an answer. Just a sudden, quiet understanding. This wasn't about respect. It was about power. And I was finally done giving them any. December 26th. Silence. No calls. No texts. Not even a guilt-soaked "Hope you had a great Christmas" from my sister. Just that eerie quiet my family uses as both punishment and bait. They weren't sorry. They were regrouping. It was almost peaceful, if you didn't know the kind of storm they like to stir. Then came the screenshots. A stranger messaged me on WhatsApp. Said, "Hey, I think this was meant for you." Attached were screenshots of a family group chat. Not my number. 1 digit off. Whoever they accidentally added saw the dumpster fire brewing and forwarded it to me like a moral citizen reporting a crime. Here's what I read. "She's out of control. We need to talk to someone legal just in case. Didn't she say something to Drew about CPS after the babysitting thing? We just need to make sure our story matches in case anything happens." I stared at the screen, hands cold, heart slow. Not because I was afraid, because I finally saw it clearly. They knew what they did was serious. And they weren't trying to make it right. They were preparing to defend themselves. They were scared. I showed Drew the messages. He just said, "Good. They should be." That night I didn't sleep. Not out of anxiety. Out of planning. The next morning, I drafted a letter. Not emotional. Not reactive. Just clean, precise, and final. It outlined the pattern. Emotional abuse. Financial manipulation. Neglect during that weekend, they abandoned Ellie. Then came the line that mattered most. From this moment forward, all communication with me, Drew, or Ellie must cease. Any attempt to contact, interfere, or involve yourselves in our lives will be documented as harassment. I listed the evidence. Dates. Texts. Witnesses. No threats. Just boundaries. With teeth. I sent it to all of them. Subject line, legal boundaries notice. By noon, only one response. My mother. 2 lines. You're breaking this family apart. We tried to love you. But if you want us to be your enemies, we'll act accordingly. That was it. Not remorse. A threat. And just like that, I knew this wasn't about fixing anything. This was war over control. They'd lost access to their favorite unpaid assistant. And they were pissed. But I wasn't scared. I was ready. A week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was my aunt. My mom's older sister. We hadn't spoken in years. She stopped coming to family holidays when I was a teenager. My mom always said it was because of health issues. It wasn't. She said, I heard what happened. And I think it's time you knew something. Years ago, right around the time Drew lost his job and we were barely scraping by, my mom borrowed $9,000 from her. Said it was for us. Said we were struggling, wouldn't accept help directly, so she needed the money to quietly support us. Except we never saw a dime. My aunt only found out recently, when she brought it up, and my mom laughed, and said she couldn't even remember what the loan was for. That money? She used it to buy a new dining set. And told everyone we were living off her generosity. That night, I walked into the bedroom and told Drew everything. He just sat there, quiet, eyes closed like he was fighting off a migraine. Then he said, This isn't about you. It never was. This is just who they are. They'd lie to anyone, about anything, as long as it makes them look good. And he was right. This wasn't just a dysfunctional family. It was an ecosystem built on appearance, control, and selective memory. But now the ecosystem was collapsing. Because I stopped being the glue. And they didn't know how to hold themselves together without a scapegoat. After that call, I braced for backlash. But what I got was strategy. First, my sister messaged Drew directly on Instagram. Just a soft, manipulative note. Maybe we could talk when things calm down. For Ellie's sake. The moment they say, for the kid, you know they're losing. Then my brother bumped into me at a coffee shop I go to once a week. Same week? Grocery store near our house. Both times he acted surprised. Tried small talk. The second time he leaned in and said, Have you calmed down yet? I walked out without a word. But the worst came from the school. The front office called. Someone, an extended family member, phoned in, asking about Ellie's schedule. If she was still enrolled. If anyone else besides her parents picked her up. The questions were subtle. Too subtle. The school flagged it. I drove down that afternoon and had every single extended family member listed in the system removed. No pickup permission. No contact. No access. Drew's sister was added as our only emergency contact. That was the day I realized. They weren't just trying to manipulate me. They were willing to weaponize my daughter. 2 days later, my mom showed up in person. At the school. Claimed she was picking Ellie up for a dentist appointment. Told the front desk I probably forgot to call ahead. She couldn't spell the dentist's name. Didn't have a release form. Made a scene when they refused to release Ellie. Security had to walk her out. The school called me. I sat at the kitchen table shaking. Not from fear. From fury. That night I called my lawyer. No more chances. No more warnings. Official cease and desist letters went out to all of them. Clear. Legal. Unmistakable. Contact us again, and we will seek a restraining order. They had no room left to maneuver. And I had no space left for second chances. I expected backlash. I expected some dramatic showdown. Maybe another voicemail from my mom dripping in faux sweet concern. What I didn't expect was nothing. The silence that followed the cease and desist letters wasn't empty. it was strategic retreat. They'd finally realized I wasn't bluffing. Or maybe they were just recalculating the angle of attack. Because toxic people don't stop when you draw a line. They just get sneakier. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel afraid. I felt still. The house felt different. Lighter. The kind of quiet you don't realize you've never had until you finally hear it. Then something small but huge happened. I was folding laundry in Ellie's room when she came in with her pink glitter diary. You know the kind, with the tiny plastic lock that never actually locks. She handed it to me. Said, I wrote a story about our new Christmas. The real one. Just us. The first page was a drawing. Me, Drew, and Ellie at the sushi restaurant on Christmas night. I had no neck. Drew's head was massive. Ellie looked like a sparkly tornado with boots. But we were smiling. All of us. Underneath it, she'd written, This year, Mommy wasn't sad. I sat on the bed and held her. That's it. That's all I could do. Because it was true. I wasn't sad. For the first time in over a decade, I wasn't pretending. I'd been so scared to lose the idea of family, I didn't realize how much I was losing myself by keeping it. The next few days were calm. Like suspiciously calm. Then I got a phone call from a blocked number. Voicemail. It was my mother. Her tone was light, almost rehearsed. We were surprised you involved a lawyer. Your father and I have decided not to pursue a relationship with you further. We hope you'll find peace. But don't think we'll stay silent forever if you twist the story. That last line. I replayed it twice. Don't think we'll stay silent forever. It wasn't grief. It wasn't disappointment. It was a warning. She wasn't done trying to control the narrative. But here's what she didn't realize. I didn't need her silence. I wasn't afraid of her voice anymore. I was done playing defense. That same week, I got a job offer. A remote position with a publishing house. Full benefits. Flexible hours. Good salary. When the recruiter called and said, We'd love to have you, I screamed. Ellie thought I won the lottery. Drew did too. And maybe I did. Because this was the first thing in a long time that was just for me. No one to downplay it. No one to twist it. No one to say I was trying too hard. Ellie drew a picture of me holding a phone with a huge smile. She taped it to the fridge with the title, My Mommy's Job. Underneath, she wrote, She works from home because she loves us. And that right there? That was the win. Not the job. Not the boundaries. Not even the silence. It was this. I was no longer raising a daughter inside the same patterns that nearly destroyed her mother. A month after the cease and desist letters, the silence wasn't suspicious anymore. It was normal. There were no surprise calls. No guilt-laced voicemails. No one circling the block like a family vulture with a gaslight in the glove box. It was quiet. And not the kind that demands an apology. Just quiet. Ellie thrived. She started writing more stories in that sparkly pink diary, one about a space princess with a cat who made pancakes for peace. Another about a mom who built a rocket ship out of pillows so her daughter could feel safe even in the dark. One night she asked, Do you think Grandma's sad now? I said, Maybe. But sadness happens when people don't like the consequences of their choices. She nodded like that made perfect sense and asked if we could put marshmallows in our tea. We did. Meanwhile, I kept living. I took the job. Drew and I reorganized our schedules around school pickups and random Wednesday sushi dinners. On Sundays, we stayed in pajamas until noon. I read again, actually read. Not self-help books disguised as survival manuals, but novels. Fiction. Stories where women got to win without bleeding for it. I wasn't pretending anymore. Not with Ellie. Not with Drew. Not with myself. Then one morning, I got a letter. Not a text. Not an email. An actual, folded letter in an envelope with my name written in my mother's hand. Inside was a single page. No greeting. No apology. Just a line. We'll never understand why you chose to abandon your family. But if you ever want to return, the door is open. We won't wait forever. I read it once. Twice. then folded it and slid it into a folder labeled Evidence, Not Emotion. Because I knew what that was. Not a bridge. A leash. I didn't respond. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood up, walked into Ellie's room, and watched her draw stars onto her pillowcase with fabric markers. She looked up and grinned. Want to help? I grabbed a marker. We made galaxies. That night I wrote a list. One I never thought I'd write. Things I will pass down to my daughter. The ability to say no without explanation. The right to leave rooms that make her shrink. The truth that love isn't measured by how much pain you absorb. The knowledge that being the bigger person doesn't mean carrying everyone else. The understanding that family can be chosen. And the strength to be her own damn galaxy if the stars ever go out. Drew read it later and kissed my shoulder. You broke the cycle, he whispered. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because I could feel it. We were finally free. No more family elections. No more weaponized group texts. No more earning a seat at a table I built with my own damn hands. I wasn't too negative. I was just never meant to be furniture in a house that mistook my spine for a floorboard. Now, every time I walk past that fridge and see Ellie's crooked little drawing of Mommy at work, I don't see a broken family. I see a better one, built from scratch, brick by brick, choice by choice. And for once, I'm not worried about what comes next. Because I know who I am. I know who loves me. And I know exactly what I will never, ever allow back through that door.